make sure you have those previous notes open because we are going to practice. So we have 1.4 divided by 81.2. So first we have to move our decimal to get a whole number. So I see there's a decimal between 1 and 4, so I'm going to move it over one space. So since I'm moving it over a tenths place, I have to move it over a tenths place in the dividend. So I'm going to move it right there, and I'm going to rewrite that. So now I have 14 divided by 812. And don't forget the decimal is still right there. So I'm just going to draw where that decimal is, and then I'm going to do some math off to the side because I don't know 14s off the top of my head. So I'm going to take a pause and figure that out on the side. Okay, so if you look at my math over here, it's a little bit messy, but I found that 14 times 5 gives me 70, 14 times 6 gives me 84. So I have to think first, can I divide 8 by 14? No, it's going to get me a decimal. So I'm going to write my 0, and then I'm going to bring it down. So I'm going to bring down the 8, and I'm going to bring down this 1. Technically, you don't have to rewrite these arrows, but I do because it reminds me that I've taken care of this first digit. So we're going to look at the next digit, 81. 81 is between 70 and 84. So it's too high to be 14 times 6 to get me 84, so I'm going to use this one. I'm going to use the 14 times 5. So 81 divided by 14 can get me closest to 70. So I'm going to do 14 times 5. I'll change colors. 14 times 5 to get me to 70. Then I'm going to subtract to get me to 11. And then I'm going to bring it down. I'm going to bring down that 2. All right, I'm going to pause and do a little bit more math. Okay, so I actually found that 14 times 8 can get me to 112. If I don't know a number because it's too big, I always go off to the side and I start multiplying. So I'll do 14 times 3. I'll do like whatever I'm trying to find times 3, times 4. I usually start by 5s, or I'll do 8 just to get me somewhere. So let's go back to our problem. So 112, can it be divided by 14? It sure can. 14 times 8 can get me to 112, and then we're just going to subtract. And since we have no other places, we're done. So our answer is 58, and I'm going to rewrite that. Make sure you guys are circling your answers so I can see. So I'm going to let you practice. Remember to move the decimal before you continue. All right, how'd you do with this one? Don't forget that even though you don't have a decimal point, even though you can't really see it, it's always there. So it's always 574, and then you can assume there's a decimal point here, and then it just goes 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. So that's why I added my decimal point over here, because it started here, and because I moved over the decimal point in my divisor, I had to move it over as well. And then same thing for this one. Don't forget, because we moved our decimal point over 1, we moved it over another one. So let's work on this word problem. Paige brought donuts to school to give to her friends, which were $1.40 each. She spent a total of $36.40. How many donuts did she buy? So we know that she spent $36.40, and each donut was $1.40 each. So we're trying to figure out how many donuts she bought. So first we have to clear our decimal. So let me see if you can move it by yourself. All right, how'd you do? So luckily we're using 14s again. So we can actually use the math that we did up here. So first let's look at our problem. 14 3 divided by 14. Can't do it unless we want a decimal. So let's check out 36. Let's see, does 36 work up here? We don't have that. So let's do 14 times 2 quick. 28. So we have 28 or we have 42. I'm going to use 28. So before I move on, I realized I didn't put what I was multiplying in my quotient. I need to put that too. So now I can do the math. So 6 minus 8, I need to borrow. That's a little 2 there. I just want to make it so you guys can see it. So we're borrowing a 1. 2 minus 2 is going to be 0, and 16 minus 8 is 8. And now I'm going to bring down my 4. So now I have 84. Let's come up here and check. Perfect. 14 times 6 is 84. So can 84 be divisible by 14? Yes. 14 times 6 is 84. So now we're just going to subtract. And we have 0. So we're done. So we have 26. But we need to write our sentence. So Paige bought 26 donuts. Ooh. Yum.